Hello, hope all is well. Hope everyone's doing all right. Oh yeah, let me get back to my open. Okay, hope everyone's doing all right. This is just a recording for our class intro meeting, and just want to show you a few things, go over a few things in the course, and make sure we all on one accord. Once again, and I didn't say this initially, but my name is Vince Tucker. I will be your instructor for this session. All right, so let's go to our Canvas shell. There are a few emails that I have sent to you, and they are in your announcements. This will be the only thing that we use Canvas for, is to archive our emails, our class emails. Of course, individual emails will go individually to you, but all of our class emails will go out to the class, but also archived here in our Canvas announcements. So our first email was just me greeting you guys, letting you know what type of course this is. It's online asynchronous. That means it's online and you do this on your own time. We don't meet at any specific time regularly, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 o'clock or something like that. So no, you do this on your own time. All right. Required materials is the next thing. Just letting you know that we will be using MathLab. Everything, and as you'll see in the next email, but everything we do will be done through MathLab. So if you go to www.mymathlab.com, you should be able to click on this link as well. And then go to register, use this course ID, Tucker 06337. And then you'll have 3 ways in order to gain full access to all of your assignments. Everything we do will be done through MathLab. Our homeworks, our tests, midterm, final exam, everything's done through MathLab. So you do need access to it. You don't have to purchase a text because with MathLab access comes in e-text, but you do have to purchase access to MathLab. All right, so once you go there, use the course ID. You can either input the access code that you've already purchased, probably through TCC's bookstore, or maybe you purchased it from a friend, or maybe even Amazon. You know, Amazon has everything, right? But it's like a 16-digit code. If you don't have that and you want to purchase access through Pearson itself, then you can do so. Once you purchase access, they will not give you a 16-digit code. They will just give you access. All right, and then from here, if you're not ready to purchase anything, but you want to go ahead and get started, you can use the 14-day free pass. It should give you access to full access to everything for 14 days. After those 14 days up, it will ask you to purchase access. If you're not ready, what it will do is lock you out. You will no longer have access to your assignments, but you will not lose your progress. I will still have access, and you will regain your access and be able to pick up where you left off once you purchase. All right. Next email, everything that we're going to use MathLab for. First thing, recognize this statement is that MathLab does not work well with Safari. So you need to use Chrome or Firefox as your internet browser. They are free. So if you've never downloaded them before, we're not asking you to pay for anything extra. I normally use Chrome. That one works for me. But Firefox should work as well. And once again, MathLab's problem with Safari is that, sometimes it'll pull up some things it will not. So this does not interface well, it doesn't communicate well. So already mentioned this first statement. You cannot you cannot pass the course without access to MathLab, because all of our assignments are done through MathLab. As far as attendance goes, you must participate or show activity in MathLab weekly. That will solidify or confirm your attendance. I'm not asking for every day that you get in the MathLab every day, but you should get in there at least once a week. And really, if you trying to knock this stuff out, you would get in there more than just once a week, but at least weekly. I should see some type of activity in MathLab. Go in there, you're doing some homework, or doing a test or something like that. All right. If you're having issues with anything, please let me know. You got to communicate that with me. If I don't know, I don't know. There's no way for me to help you or help you create a plan for getting caught up, or whatever the case may be, if I don't know you need help or you're having issues. When it comes to homework, you have unlimited amount of tries to get the best grade possible. So with unlimited amount of tries, I'm asking for at least a 75 on your homework. So you see, if you get at least a 75 to 84.9, that will be a 90% in my grade book. But if you get at least 85, then I will give you a full 100%. Now that right there, that adjustment is not anything that shows up automatically. You know, when you submit your homework, you automatically get a grade. MATLAB doesn't have a way for me to program this. That's something I would do at the very end when I do final grading. So just letting you know, that will not automatically show up. That's just something I'm going to do. Test reviews for every test, even your midterm and final exam, there is a review that will help shape your studies towards being prepared for that respective test. They're not mandatory, so you don't have to do them. So everything in MATLAB you have to do except for your reviews, your test reviews. So if you go in there, the main two things that I actually have is just homework and tests. That's all it is. Homework and tests. Homeworks lead up to your test and prepare you for the test. And like I said, there's a test review for every test, but they are not mandatory. But if you look for extra credit, if you score 85 or better on those tests, then I will add 5 points to that respective test. Your tests are set up just like your test reviews, excuse me, are set up just like your homeworks. Unlimited amount of tries. So now when it comes to your actual test, you get 2 attempts to get the best grade possible. Without proctoring, the ones that without proctoring, that's you're going to see when we get into your MATLAB. If you haven't seen it already, you have 4 tests that you automatically have access to right now, just like your homeworks. And then you have your midterm and final exam that you do not have access to, and we'll talk about that in a second. And this is stats. So you might not have that much scratch work. That's just a normal statement that just a general statement I attach to all of my classes. Like if it was 161 pre-calc or calculus, you will have some scratch work. This class, you won't have that much scratch work, I'm pretty sure, because of the way they tell you to use technology and everything. But if it's one of those tests that do call for some of it, then you would, send me a picture or scan it or whatever the case may be. You can email that to me. So as far as your scratch work for your test. All right. Next one, previously recorded lectures. It's up to you if you want to use these or not. There's no way for me to know that you did or didn't. But they're for you. There are all the sections of my a previous class, and I recorded them and made YouTube videos out of them. So that would be the experience you would get if you were in person with me. And so there are a few sections past 8.2, like yeah, like 2 or 3 sections in chapter 9 or whatever. In this class, we only got to 8.2, which is a lot of content. That's 8 chapters. So that's where we're going to stop here. And so that should be good enough. And you should be good to go as far as, the statistical content of this course. So anything past 8.2, I'll just leave it up there for extra credit if you wanted to take advantage of that. But 8.2 is where the lecture stops, and that's what you'll be held accountable for. The next one is just reminding you that class starts on 2/16. I sent all of those emails back in January, so you would have access to them, and I don't have to, resend them or anything crazy. Office hours. These are my office hours. It would be good, like I said in the email, to give me a heads up to know that you're, gonna come, so I can be prepared for you, or not, or whatever the case may be. So, but normally I'm there during those times on Zoom during those times. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 for 10 to 12, and then Tuesday, Thursday, 1 to 3. And then if those times don't fit for you, you can always, get with me, email me, and we can set up a time outside of those hours. And then that last one was just talking about this intro meeting. All right, so let's look at MATLAB. Here we go. Matter of fact, let's do this. All right, so to register, and I saw that many of you have already registered, so that's great. But you would go here, student access. LMS is learning management system. Yes, we are using Canvas, but we're not connecting Canvas to MATLAB, so you don't have to do that. All you would do is go and register. So like I said, if you follow those instructions I gave you, it doesn't tell you to connect it to anything. You just go register. And then you would type in that Tucker, whatever that number was here, that's your course ID. Then from there, it will ask you to put in your credentials, put in your personal information, and then you would go into the pay. What are you trying to do as far as payment is concerned? All right. So let's go back. All right, going into your shell. Of course, you wouldn't have all of these boxes, but got all these classes, but you go into the shell. Should only have one as far as this class is concerned. Your syllabus is right here. Right. And then we have chapter 1 and chapter 2's definitions. Now, that's the only thing that those are the only two chapters that we're doing this for, chapter 1 and chapter 2. So you do want to get those to me as soon as possible. I'll probably put a date on it, shoot it to you in the email. But these are your definitions. You don't have to worry about definitions from any other chapter. But for chapter 1 and chapter 2, notice chapter 1 is 4 pages. Chapter 2 is 2 pages. All right. And you're going to get these definitions from the textbook. Do not go anywhere else to get these definitions because statistics has its own language. So what I mean by that is you going to get your answers from an outside source, whether it be Google, Alexa, Siri, whatever the case may be. They may give you the world's definitions, but they may not give you a statistical definition. So we want to make sure we hold true to these statistical definitions. These definitions are going to help you when you're doing your homework in math, in chapter 1 and chapter 2, and when you're doing that test. When you look at your assignments, because you have to do these as well, you see chapter 1, chapter 2, test review test, and all of them set up like that. Chapter 3, chapter 4, test review test. There goes your midterm review. You don't see the midterm because you don't need it at this moment. And then you continue on with that same pattern. All right, so I'll come back to that in a second, but I just want to show you that you have these definitions, but you also have these homework assignments that you have to do. The definitions are to make sure you have a solid foundation as far as vocabulary before you move forward in the rest of your statistics. All right, so you see the first definitions. What are two definitions of statistics? What is population? What is population parameter? Sample, raw data. So we'll go to the e-text, and it says open my e-text. Give me a second to open up. I did not make your chapter 1, chapter 2 definitions and a hard assignment. It was supposed to be something simple, simple A. Once again, it's just to familiarize you with these terms that you're going to be using, and that may be valuable to you as you continue to progress throughout the course. So it's not a scavenger hunt. They're all in order. They all are bolded in some fashion or put in a box somewhere. So oh, slow down. Wait a second. Hold on. Thing got away from me. All right, so let's go. So there you go. First one. What are the two definitions of statistics? There you go. Then you go to population parameters, and then sample raw data sample statistics. So you see they're all in order. They're either bolded or they're bolded in wording or they're in boxes or something like that. So once again, it's not hard. It wasn't made to be a hard assignment. So if you do 1, 2, 3 of them, and then all of a sudden the next one you see is the purpose of statistics, but you didn't get number 7, 8, 9, 10, then you missed a page or something. All of these are in order, and it's supposed to be an easy assignment. And the way you will send that to me, either you can, it's up to you how you want to do it. Either you can type them up in Word, send them. You can write them up in your notebook, take pictures of it and send it, scan it and send it. Whatever way helps you as far as your studies are concerned, that's fine. Just make sure you get them to me so I can give you full credit for them. These are the only assignments. Chapter 1, chapter 2 definitions are the only assignments that I have to manually input into MATLAB. So once you send it to me, I'll put your grade in, your 100 in. We believe you're going to get 400 because you're going to do all your definitions. And then everything else, once you do your assignments, let's say you go back here. Once you do your assignments, once you submit, you'll get your grade. But like I said, the definitions are the only ones that's like that I need you to do that. So you just email me at vtucker@tcc.edu, or if you email them to me through Canvas, it'll do the same thing. It'll send it to vtucker@tcc.edu. and I will respond to your email, let you know I got it, and then your grade should appear, shortly. Because once again, I got to put it in myself. All right. So you see your due date here. Since we're here, you only have two due dates. 3/22 should be halfway mark. That's a Sunday. That should end 5 weeks for us. It's a 10-week course, and then the end of the semester is 5/01, May 1st, and that's when everything else is due. All right, so chapters 1 through 4 is due on 3/22, and then everything else is due May 1st. So it's only two due dates, and your midterm will actually be the week of uh before that 3/22. So we're talking about March 16th through the 20th. And how that's going to happen is I'm going to give you 3 or 4 options to choose from, in which you'll be able to take your exam, one in the evening at least, and, a couple in the morning, a couple in the afternoon, whatever way, to cover all scenarios. So it will be the week, and you would meet through Zoom. So you don't have to come to any local physical location. You don't have to go to the testing center or anything like that. It will be me. So you don't have to reach out to anybody else. I will give you those instructions in writing, and I will give you your Zoom options in writing as well. So, right now you don't need them because it's just the first week. But just to give you a heads up on how it's going to work, I'm going to give you 4 or 5 options, 3, 4, 5 options to choose from. And, whichever one you're going to log on to, you click that one. At some point, the midterm is going to be available here. When you click on it, it's going to ask you for a password. You do not get the password until you log on to Zoom on that day. So you don't need to email me for the password. You do not get the password until you log on to Zoom that day that you're going to take your midterm. We're going to do our final exam the same way. When you log on, enable your camera, show your ID to the camera, and then I will shoot you the password, and you stay on to take the test through Zoom until you're done with taking your test. Once you're done, then you can just log off. You don't have to let me know. But yep, that's how that works. So don't get your password and run. I've had people to do that, get the password, log off, then I have to try to help them get them back on or whatever the case may be. But yeah, you stay on and take your test. I'm going to give you 2 hours to take your exam. I didn't make a 2-hour test. I'm just giving you 2 hours because that's what I normally do for tests, for exams. But no, most people do finish early. So as soon as you finish, you can leave. So once again, I'm giving you 2 hours, but I have not created a 2-hour test. But if you want to use 2 hours to do your test, take your time and do your thing. Okay, let's see what else. StatCrunch is right here. That's Pearson's version of Excel. So if you want to use it or learn how to use it, if you can't figure it out, feel free to email me. We can set up a time to meet through Zoom and talk about it. Let's see what else. That's pretty much it. Let me show you MathLab, a MathLab assignment, and then that'll be it. All right, you should be able to see number 4 out of 3.1. So the way we have it, we have these help tools down here. Normally, what you do not do is click on help me solve this, because that will actually mark your problem wrong and then show you how to solve it. Rightfully so, because you didn't do it. MathLab did it. Most people, if they have a problem with the problem, they will click on view an example. That opens up a window walking you through a very similar problem, just different numbers. And then you can even print it as well. After you're done, it will take you back to your problem. All right. Get more help here. Notice right here it says textbook. You click on that. That'll send you to the ebook where this problem is discussed. I already mentioned StatCrunch. Here's tech help. And then here, as my instructor, that sends me a message that you had issues with that problem. And then I'll reach back out to you. How do you want to go about getting help or whatever the case may be? All right. Sometimes there's a video as well, but that is depending on the complexity of the problem. It's a video from one of Pearson's instructors. Okay, so I'm just putting anything here. All right, so check the answer. They try to give you a hint. Once again, they're trying to give you a hint. And then notice after 2 checks, you get 1/3 final check. Once you do that, It'll tell you what the answer is. Either you can go to the next question or hit similar question. If you don't hit similar question at that moment, you can hit it down here. Once you click on that, that resets the problem, and you can try it again with different numbers. Notice you have a red X right here, just let you know you got it wrong. If it was right, it would be a green check. If I got some of these right, some of them wrong, it would be green check / red X. Just let me know I got it partially correct. And then when you look at your list of problems, that same thing is reflected here. Once you get it all the way right, it'll turn to a green check and give you full credit. All right. Let's see. And that should be it for that. Let's see if there's anything else that I need to make sure I cover before we leave. You guys don't need anything there. Okay. Yep, that should be it. So you got 2 due dates. The main one that's coming up right now is 3/22. And like I said, I will be emailing you guys about how we're going to do our midterm. Midterm is only on chapters 1 through 4. Hopefully that's not that involved in such a way that you can get a solid foundation coming out of your midterm going into chapter 5 and everything like that. A solid foundation for your grade, right? Going into chapter 5 and finishing out the course. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Once again, my email address is vtucker@tcc.edu. And with that being said, y'all have a good one. Take care. And I look forward to hearing from you.